cracking, y'all? Welcome to the Michael Mears podcast again. I got my boy over here. Introduce yourself for the people. Tell us about yourself.
Zutu.
Hey.
One life to live. Champ Team Fitness.
I love it, man. So, honestly, we were just talking right before we jumped onto the podcast just now. We were kind of talking about, the versions of ourselves that we have to be when we're in different arenas in life. So, one thing I wanted to point out is Irving Goffman is a sociologist, right? From 1965, he talked about dramaturgical perspective, which is basically the concept of we have to be different versions of ourselves in different arenas in life.
Agreed.
So if I'm going to Foot Locker versus I'm going to the gym versus I'm going to church versus I'm going to the club, there's different sides of ourselves that come out. And with that comes a front stage and a backstage version of ourselves. There's the front stage for the whole public to see, and then there's the backstage that's more of a the intimate side of yourself that you don't reveal to the whole world and whatnot. And I think that even speaks to the ways that we address ourselves when we look in the mirror. And I really do find myself asking myself some deep questions about not just how I want to come across to other people, but how I want to come across to myself when I look in that proverbial mirror and do that internal reflection. So what are some of the ways that you've kind of dealt with understanding, digesting, and then augmenting the way you behave and being proud of the version of yourself you're being in various settings in life?
Well, for me personally, I try not to do that as much. I've learned that to each his own, but for me it's about being authentic. So I try to be myself. Within some context, of course, because there's certain things you can't share in certain arenas just due to circumstances, professionalism, and whatnot. But generally, I try to be my authentic self as much as I can.
Go ahead.
But with that being said, to be effective in life and to get to where you need to get to, you do have to have different faces for different places. With balancing out being your authentic self.
Right.
And therein lies the sort of issue that a lot of people have in society about balancing out their authentic self with the face that they have to put on. Right? People are in careers that it's not really them, that doesn't satisfy them, doesn't bring out their authentic self. And there's no balance in that they could even really express themselves, because at the end of the day we all just want to express ourselves. Your career is an expression of yourself,
right? Your
relationship, everything is expression.
And expression in its purest form is reflective of yourself, of who you are in your core. And I think that having a strong sense of self creates a foundation within you that's unshakable. It creates if you think of it having access to those different that backstage, but even within the backstage of having that access, there's rooms only you have the key to. And that's where you can really have the most self-confidence, and that's where it emanates, and people see, well, there's a light shining from inside of you, and it's a fire that's inextinguishable by other people's efforts, even if they try their best. That is in and of itself acknowledgement, acceptance, and deep love of self. And people will either see that within you, or there will be a bit of a void. And I find, me personally, I grew up in sport, I'm sure you did as well, and there's a lot of self-discovery. There's a lot of I'd say hardship that you go through in sport, in those moments of failure where you have to look at yourself in the mirror, not only bounce back, but reflect and be honest and be yo, did I give my 100%?
Yes.
And where have you seen in your life where it's whether it be in sport or elsewhere, where there's adversity, but it's simply an opportunity to grow as opposed to a seeming impossibility?
Well, I think one thing I learned and that you touched on that's interesting, I feel the ones that find happiness, find success and whatnot, whether it be in sport or art or just professionalism, it's how vulnerable are you willing to be in letting your true self out? Think about it. The more you're able to let people in and express that true self, because we all got a genius inside of us. Everyone does. No matter who you are, no matter what walk of life, no matter what you've done, inside you do have genius ability.
Correct.
It's just, are you willing to be vulnerable enough to even let that out? It takes vulnerability to really let your guard down, get over yourself, get over your hang-ups, get over your egos. What are people going to think? What are they going to say? Am I cool enough? Get over yourself and just give your true self and put your true self out there. Once you're able to do that and let that guard down, that's when your ability really comes out. That's where talents that you didn't know that you had are able to come out, because you're putting your energy into your true calling, into your true offering. We all have an offering here to put out into the universe. It's just, are you willing to put out that offering? Are you willing to be that vulnerable? You know, because you putting yourself out there, me putting myself out there, us having this interview, people are gonna judge. You know, what do we got to say? What are we saying? Our opinions and whatnot, whatever. This guy's saying da 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 da. You sound like an idiot. That's being vulnerable,
Right, of course.
in an aspect. You know what I mean? But we're still putting our offering out there.
Yep.
And we're not gonna be able to grow and be better versions of ourselves unless we're able to do this right here. Put your offering out. See what people say. See how you could get better. Take the judgment. Take the criticism, and you learn to turn it around and grow and like get over yourself. Get over your ego. Don't worry about judgment. Don't worry about what people are gonna think. Don't worry about perception, and you just be your true, authentic self. Those of us, whether in music, whether in sports, whether those of us that are able to let go and, like you said, just give your all, leave it all on the floor, leave it all on the field. Those of us that are able to do that, those are the ones that find ultimate success. You're not going to find ultimate success unless you're able to give everything.
100%. I totally agree. The thing is, I think, is people will have concepts of who we are based on how we look, based on preconceived notions, based on their previous experiences or whatever, what have you. We've heard women be like, oh, I'm not dating another Nigerian guy because they're all like this, or I'm not dating another guy who's this tall or this big or whatever it may be. And it's like, there's concepts and then there's context, because context is like the details, the granular, who is this person individually? Who is this person like in and of themselves, not who I think they could be. And I think a lot of times in relationships, not just with ourselves, but with other people, we'll fall into that trap of loving someone for who they could be as opposed to who they actually are.
Yes. Agreed. Everyone falls in love with potential.
Right.
You know what I mean? Rather than, like you said, for who people actually are. And that comes with a certain maturity as well.
Right.
A certain maturity in spirit, a certain maturity in soul, I feel like, and just even like accepting yourself. You know what I mean? And being honest with yourself, because before you're honest with anyone else, or you love anyone else, or get in a relationship, you have to be honest with yourself.
Right.
So a lot of people are honest with themselves. They get in a relationship and they're in love with the potential of the relationship or what it could be.
Right.
Rather than sort of for what it is and who the person actually is. Because you can't love parts of someone. Oh, I love this about you, but I don't love that. That's bullshit. What are you talking about?
I always say it's not a Build-A-Bear. You can't just take, I always say this. Before I got with my girl, I'm like, yo, I don't want someone to like a slice of the pizza. I want you to like the whole pie. I want you to like the whole shop. Because we've got a variety of different flavors and slices. I don't need you to love a version of myself and want all the other parts to not exist. We're all multifaceted, different-sided dodecagons of human beings where you've got a multitude of moods, emotions. You operate on a spectrum.
And you know what that goes back to? There's layers to the point that you just made about if you love someone, love them whole. If you love life, you gotta love life whole. A lot of people, do you really wake up and do you love life?
Preach.
You know what I mean? And
Preach.
love life as a whole. Not just love the ups of life, but you're able to ride the wave and understand that there's ebbs and flows. And with those ebbs and flows comes the growth. Facts. You're not going to grow in your high points of life. It's just not happening. You're not going to grow when you're at your high points in life. You're going to grow when you're going through those ebbs and flows, when you're going through the downswing.
Right. I always say, that adversity is an opportunity to grow. Like I
always
said before,
an opportunity.
It's not, and sometimes it will masquerade itself as a short-term impossibility. And it will lead to long-term destruction because people often aren't willing to make the short-term sacrifice for long-term growth.
Yes.
They want the short-term answers at the expense of their long-term development. And I really find that when we take internal
short-term gratification society we live in.
Exactly.
Please me now. Here, right now.
And I think a lot of our generation, what is that's always been a thing in human nature. It's always been a part of it. But what is elevated and substantiated and made that a deeper rooted issue is that construct of our relationship to social media, for example. Like, it's not that social media is bad. It's that it's a tool through which you can do great good and create a business and create a platform for yourself, or you can do great detriment, where we'll never have stagnancy in life. You're either progressing or regressing. And I think it's a place of great regression in terms of our way to what we socialize with other people, but most importantly that we don't take into consideration is how interacting with that is changing the way that we interact with ourselves. We see, am I measuring someone's value based on their follower count, or am I measuring someone's value, because those are numbers, but people aren't numbers. Those could be the most frivolous, surface level, superficial connections.
But the thing is, if we're gonna be honest, like we live in a limited society. Most people are limited.
Correct.
Like most people are not gonna be, like, with all due respect, as enlightened as you or me or like. So, with that being said, that's just how the masses think. The masses are sheep, unfortunately.
It's true.
And that's just how they're gonna think. They're gonna think limited. They're gonna think in a box. They're still gonna judge people based on numbers, based on followings, based on popularity, based on like perceptions. Nothing is. It's very rare in this world that things are authentic.
Right. That's why when I find something.
But you know what? That's what makes authenticity. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's what makes authenticity more valuable.
Of course.
Right? If it was anything that's in abundance ain't that valuable.
Of course.
So that's why it's so valuable.
Exactly.
That's why it's to be valued when you meet someone authentic.
And you hold on. That's what I was about to say.
You hold on. And you connect with someone,
people.
you know, the real people in life. So that's what we have to do. People like me, you, even how we came across each other. You know what I mean? Was very like organic. Nothing forced, no preconceived notions. Nobody had no agenda. I didn't even know you do all of this. I didn't even have aspirations of ever doing anything like this. Like talk on a podcast that like it's not even my style at all. But through us talking and everything, you're like, yo, you got a lot to say. I do my thing. If you want to come up and just talk, like. Our talks that we have, like we're talking in between sets, bench press, and you're doing your thing. I'm coming over. We're literally having these discussions. Exactly. That's like one segment. Oh, let me go back to my set.
That's it.
I'm throwing up 315. Come back to you. Yeah, we're good. And it's like we have different segments. 1 minute we're on like spirituality. Then we get on relationships. Then we get on sports. Then we get on. So it's only natural that it would sort of lead to this path right here, and we sit right here. You know what I mean? I want to thank you. You know what I mean? Here on camera and everything, and I did when I came here. You know, it's a good opportunity. Like this was never my thing. I never had aspirations, but then talking to you and everything like that, and the feedback I got, and just other people in general, my general life and in my personal life, they're like, yo, you got a lot to say. You gotta say, start your own podcast. Then I told you, even my son, you know what I mean, who plays football, who you met. He's like, Dad, you need a podcast. You need a people need to hear you. I'm like, say what? He's like, yo, the shit you say is funny, or like, you make some good points, or you know what I mean. So, thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you for coming on.
This is like, remember earlier I was saying letting your offering out and letting your guard down.
Exactly.
So this is part of my growth as well, because if I'm gonna be real, like. That's always me, like my perception, like this isn't what are people gonna say? Can I really be talking like that? Like, you know what I mean? Perception, like look at me, what are people gonna?
Of course.
So this is part of my growth as well. When I was addressing that earlier, I was also talking about myself personally, which is something I'll always draw back to for examples when I'm talking about a lot of things. You know what I mean?
That's authenticity.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I try and do, and. I've been trying to do more and more, because the point that I made to you earlier is something I realized in life. The more you're able to be your authentic self and let it out and let your guard down.
Be vulnerable.
You're going to find more success. That's the way you're going to, you know, take the stairway to greatness and be the best version of yourself. You can't be the best version of yourself if you're closed off. Even a little bit. You can't be closed off. You got to be open. You got to be willing to let your guard down. That's how you realize your greatness. It's like playing a ball game, but you don't want to play super hard because you're kind of afraid you'll lose. You don't want to accept that if you give 100% and still lose, there's something about that where you're giving yourself an excuse. Thank you.
Where if you go 90%, you're like, yo, if I went harder, I could have did this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right?
Pre-baking
you know
excuses.
What I say. You know what I mean.
I know what you're talking about. I played sports. You know that if you don't hustle
you have
down
that
the
little
line,
point.
You know, exactly.
You've seen it sometimes when a man are running the 100 meter, and they're right here, and a man starts to pull away, and you know when the nigga pulls up, hammy with my hammy.
I can't. You can't, that's the thing.
You remember that old Michael Johnson and Donovan Bailey back in the day?
100%. It's even worse when the dudes are in the lead, raise their hands up, and the next dude passes them by in the last second of the finish line. Like, you can see where there's complacency.
Yeah.
And that's the very first spot where you're going to be the most vulnerable. You know, like the goal of this podcast, you know, when I was younger, I did like a Michael Incorporated. Like, I wanted to be like, yo, what are your 3 pillars of value that you're going to substantiate and stake your claim on? And it's about educating, entertaining, and elevating the community. Like, that's what those 3 E's. Those 3 E's. That's what it's all about for me. Because if I'm making someone laugh, it's built off of my everyday interactions. When I'm making someone smile, I feel great. It brings me fulfillment. So that's the entertainment. When it comes down to the education, I'm constantly doing research. I'm constantly internalizing information, so I can talk about the Irving Goffmans of the world. So I can talk about Clarity and Connection by Young Pueblo, great book, life-changing book. We can get into that in a second. But like these types of things, like, substantiate my claims that are just opinions. Okay, how can I found them in a bit of statistics and a little bit of logic here, and not just be emotional and fly by the seat of my pants and kind of like hope that it sticks. There's a time and a place for that, but you have to be able to substantiate your claims. Exactly. And the last thing is elevating the community vis-a-vis that entertainment and that education. Like, you elevate your community when you're spreading, and I don't care what community it could be. Other people that are black, other people that are in the same socioeconomic status, that are in completely different socioeconomic status, people that share the same interests, have no idea about my interests or the depth of it. It's important to not just engage with people in our echo chamber. That's one of the most dangerous things we can do, when you surround yourself with people who only think like you, talk like you, behave like you, because you're not challenging yourself, and that's the day you die.
Is fluoride free?
No, that's from the spring water at Grafton.
You know, fluoride.
No, I know they put fluoride pretty much in everything.
So. You know what it does, right? Blocks that pineal gland. That's a whole nother episode.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, man.
We
can get into that right now, man.
Pineal gland.
100%. Tell us a bit about that. I know you did your research about
pineal gland is a gland that sits right here in your brainstem, the back of your brainstem. And it's said to have mystical, magical, spiritual capabilities, as far as traveling other dimensions, as far as seeing past lives, as far as upgrading one's DNA, as far as just insight and intuition in many cultures, from Eastern cultures to indigenous cultures to ancient Egyptian cultures. They always put a great emphasis on your pineal gland, activating that pineal gland, and then getting it firing.
100%, and if it calcifies over, which is what fluoride,
fluoride does,
exactly.
Once it calcifies, it's
difficult
not
to access,
and
and there's a superpower inside of all of us, and there's something that is
that genius ability that I was talking about.
Exactly.
We're all capable of that. We're all capable of greatness.
And that greatness that you're speaking of doesn't just exist on this third dimension. It's fourth dimension, like that space and time. It's fifth dimension, the emotional plane. Like, exactly. So when you only, like, seeing is believing, as the Bible would say, that seeing is believing mentality, that Thomas type of faith that the Bible talks about, where it's like, only what I can taste, smell, touch, hear, and feel is real to me. There's so much more than that here.
And people have got to understand that. You've got to get out of that way of thinking that, like you said, only what I see, hear, taste, smell, that's what exists. Things exist beyond that, beyond our senses that we have right now in this third realm. But we all have higher perception, and we all have capabilities
100%.
to see things on this earth that telepathic or clairvoyant or people who could get in touch with the other side. Those abilities that people have, guess what? We all have those abilities to some degree. Some more stronger than others. Some it comes more easier to than others, but we all do have access to those abilities, and that starts with our intuition. That gut feeling that you have. The problem is nowadays we don't trust that intuition. We don't trust that gut feeling.
We're taught to be skeptical of it when it comes up. You're taught to literally dumb it down.
Yeah.
You're taught that if you follow that, you're a conspiracy nut,
Yeah.
or you're a this, or
Yeah.
and labels that have negative connotations.
Yeah.
That's where the English language gets really dangerous, because there's so many different ways to address the same thing.
Yeah.
You can say kicks, footwear, sneakers. What you could name 80 different ways to name your footwear. Whereas in other cultures, they got like one word, maybe two.
Yeah.
Depending on if one's for winter or one's for summer.
Yeah.
And like, you take that convoluted language, and now the what that does is that convolution leads for confusion, and a confused populace is that's how you gain control.
That's how you gain control.
When they can't have free
A
thought.
confused and distracted populace.
And fearful.
And those are the things that they play on, right? When we're talking about going back to the pineal gland, like it's calcified, yes, through fluoride, but through other things, we're also dumbed down through media, through our music, through our phones, through this pop culture. We're dumbed down. We're all made to be lower versions of ourselves. We're talking about like vibrations and frequencies.
Oh yeah.
And if we're going, that's a whole nother realm to go into.
Literally sound waves. Literally the waves, what they do to your body.
So a lot of this media that's out there, a lot of the entertainment, a lot of the social media, this is low vibrational content.
Check the hertz of the frequency of what's emanating from your speakers.
Yes.
And once you pay attention to what that hertz level feels like on
528, 963.
Right.
528 hertz, the frequency of love. Yep. It's important. I play that every day in my crib, even while I'm sleeping. Right. Anyone that's been to my crib or been around me knows that I'm big on that. I'm playing my 963 hertz or my 528 throughout the night, even when I'm not home. Because like you said, it emanates a certain vibration, a certain frequency. Right. And that's the frequency of love. It's funny, musical tone and frequency back in the day used to be on that frequency, the frequency of love. Yep. And it was changed. About it. We talked about. Did we talk about it?
No, I'm saying you talk about it. Tell the people.
Yeah. And then it was changed into a frequency that creates distortion.
100%.
You know what I mean? Literally confusion, distortion,
self-questioning, self-doubt,
yeah. So
unbelief.
the musical tone, the music that we're listening to now is literally meant to confuse you, distort you, keep you in your lower vibration. Exactly. Whereas there's certain vibrational tones or frequencies that they could play or they could tune music to that would actually elevate you. Frequencies of love, frequencies of hope, frequencies of non-judgment. You know what I mean?
America's Got Talent had this young, I think he was 9 or 11-year-old boy come on, and he was singing in that angelic God frequency. He was singing it gives me chills. Yeah. I thought about it, and it gave me chills.
You see? Look at the effect right there. Because
I could, and I felt it here, emanating down because it's like that third eye coming down. I could feel it, like you can feel where it's coming from. Whereas the other stuff is very bass chakra. Yeah. This is, I could feel from it, even just recollecting it, it made me feel something. Yeah. Like, he's singing that way, and I read the comment section, and people are like, Lord, please protect this boy so that the industry doesn't go and corrupt him to go and take these talents.
That's deep,
and go elsewhere, because people don't realize, right, when it comes to music specifically, it's like, what was, like, in the Bible, what was Lucifer, like, in charge? He was the head angel, and he was in charge of what? Music and worship. So when you have the music industry this rife with it, that's what I'm saying. Like, you can see where the music industry is taking people, and the entertainment industry is taking people in general. Where that music, you connect. I make music too. You connect. There's a part of you you're releasing, but you're also accepting.
For the youth, that's your soundtrack for life.
100%.
You know what I mean? If you're growing up and you're in your teens, your early 20s, honestly, music was one of the biggest influences in my life.
100%.
You know, it influences what you think is cool, how you dress, how you talk to girls.
Talk about it.
Your perspective of relationships, your perspectives of religion, society is a lot of it, not a lot of it, most of it is based on music. Right. Who are you listening to? Right. What are you listening to? Nowadays, it's so when I was growing up, wasn't as much social media content that. Yeah. Now it's social media content, music, pop culture. That's what's shaping the youth. And like you said, darker forces have control of that.
100%.
So they're raising the youth right now. They're influencing what they think is cool, what's acceptable, how they perceive relationships, how people treat each other. You know what I mean? All of that is influenced by the darker forces, right? To stifle us and keep us at our lowest self. And that's in order, and that's so that they control us.
Of course.
Like all of this is about control and power.
It's not for fun. It's for personal gain, power, influence, money, whatever you want to call it. It's like, think about it this way. It's like, if you keep a populace poor, they don't have money.
Yeah.
But if time is money, then they don't have time. And if they don't have time, what can they don't have time not to do? What is it that they're trying to stop you from having the time to be able to do?
Yeah.
Which is identify, okay, wait, hold on. They want it to be black versus white.
Yeah.
Or they want it to be this versus that. That's divisiveness. But you need them to be divisive, but for every force is an opposite and reacting force. Second law of thermodynamics. So if that applies to physics, why wouldn't that apply to the metaphysical?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't that be one of those things where they're sitting there like, okay,
that's called polarities.
Of course.
And this is, in this realm, in this third dimension, is based upon polarities.
Right.
Equal and opposites. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Polarity. But really, everything comes from the one. We're all one. You know what I mean?
Yep.
We came into this realm and to experience polarity in order to maybe gain more depth, or because we were bored. I don't know exactly why. But we decided to descend, forget who we truly are, because who we truly are is divine. All of us are divine.
Of course.
All of us are truly divine.
We have divinity within us.
And we're all one. And we all came from one. But we decided to come down here and live this human experience and have these human experiences, maybe in order to like help with our evolution, or to help with our depth, or to experience more depth, or to really have more understanding. Because think about it. At one point, we were all pure consciousness. All of us were one. And we are pure consciousness. But you're pure consciousness, and you're sort of here in this, I don't want to call it universe, but you're this pure consciousness. But then after a while, you're going to be there, and you're like, okay, what else is there?
Right. There's got to be more.
What else? So then you decide, you know what? I'm going to create life, live these lifetimes, wipe my memory, because we don't remember who we are, right? Because we've lived many lives, lives, past lives. I've lived past lives, but we don't remember. It's wiped clean for whatever reason. I don't know. It's when we go up to the other side, maybe we figure out what this all was or what the meaning is. But I know for here and now, we're here to experience life, live life to the fullest, and leave your offering onto the world, and leave something positive onto this world. Because everything we do and all of our actions, everything we say, adds on, and it's kept on record.
Right.
And you're putting something and you're leaving something on this earth and in this universe for eternity. It doesn't just wipe out when you're dead and everything is forgotten. Everything, all your thoughts, everything you say is kept on record.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And it's going to be shown to you at some time point.
As the Bible says, it's all written down in the book of life.
Yes.
And we all have every single thing that we've done.
Book of life, archaic records.
Right.
You know what I mean? Whatever you want to call it. It's all recorded for all of eternity, everything everybody ever did. And that sort of gives depth, I guess, to us as one. I'm guessing that gives depth because, remember, think about it. Everything everybody's done throughout eternity, every single human being, that's kept a record of.
You know what's funny? I just made this connection. This is why I love these conversations. I just made this connection. What you're speaking about, we just created the not physical, but the digital version of that, of what you're talking about. When I'm talking about perfect, you're talking about everything's kept in a perfect ledger, in a perfect accounting.
Yes.
When you think about blockchain, what is it? It's a perfect accounting that's immutable and cannot be added to or fit. That everything is a metaphor. The trees, the buildings, the water, whether it's tainted or not, everything is a representative of something deeper. And I just made that connection as you were speaking.
Look at that. Yeah, everything is a metaphor. That's like you said with the blockchain. It's stored there forever. It can't be duplicated.
It's immutable, cannot be changed, augmented, added to, subtracted to. It's almost like scripture. Where, like, the Bible, I use the Bible because I know it well. And it's like the Bible says, the devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy. To add, subtract, multiply, and divide. And augment these holy words and make them something else. Like, you go to 1 Timothy and people start taking out the first 4 words. It says, for the love of money is the root of all evil. But people take the first 4 words off and say money is the root of all evil. No, it's not. Living in poverty is not something you need to do. That's not what it's
used to keep us us down,
Exactly.
keep us low, keep you
and
thinking.
So what is that? That's subtraction of 4 words.
Yeah.
That changes the entirety of what it means. For the love of. So what does love mean then? Love means above all else.
Yeah.
That's that agape love the Greeks would talk about. It's unconditional love.
Yeah.
It's beyond like your worldly, earthly feelings. It's above. It's a higher, ascended version of love that God shows us throughout the whole point of the Bible is to show us what agape love is, to show us what God's love is. And for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have true and everlasting life. The point is like love is the answer. So if you are putting that money up, if you put money on that love pedestal, that's above your relationships, the people you know, that's above yourself, your betterment, your balance in life. People forget about balance, variety, and moderation every day in what they do. Balance, variety, and moderation in the way that they speak, the people that they address, the way they look at themselves in the mirror, the way that they judge, because everyone's going to judge success in a subjective way. Everyone's going to judge the success of a venture in a purely subjective way. I think that I did good. I think that I didn't do anything wrong. I think that it's all good. I think the ends justified the means. These are all negotiations with your higher self that knows what is for the betterment of humanity and what's for the detriment of humanity for your own personal gain. Something we were talking about briefly before.
Balance. Goes back to balance, right?
And that polarity.
And that battle within yourself, like you said, to balance out like the personal gain, right? With being able to have that discipline is like, not all money is good money.
Preach.
Not all money is good money. You know what I mean? And for some people, that's foreign to them. They don't believe that. All money is good money to them. And these are the people that run into the problems like we talked about losing yourself, being unbalanced. I've seen people with money, with success, everything that people would wish for, but they're empty inside. And because of that emptiness, there's that void, there's that unhappiness, depression. And these are people that have everything and look great and have everything that you would think of that would make one happy, but they're just there's a void on the inside. Whereas you could go to a third world country and the people are living there in a village and they're living happy as hell. There's no complaints. They're living a simple life. But they're happy and they find fulfillment in that. And there's people in Hollywood and Beverly Hills who hate their life, that are all meted up, that are all drugged up, that are everything. So, you know what I mean? It's being able to find that balance within yourself and knowing not all money is good money, and knowing that we must always try and exercise other parts of us rather than just our carnal selves and what's on the outside and look good and vanity and feel good. And don't get it twisted. I love to look good. I like nice things. I'm in the gym like you see 6 days a week. I eat right and everything, but it's also that balance. And I feel like that other side of me is just as strong, if not stronger, than the physical that people see. So as much as people see the body and see whatever and how I look, like once you get to know me or people talk to me now, they're like, whoa, you're like
there's
a
depth
lot
to
heavier.
your character and
you
all
know what
these
I
different
mean?
things.
You know what I mean?
Because people see a muscled up dude like yourself and you're like, oh, this guy's just a meathead. Oh, this guy must not really know what's going on. All that, whatever it may be. And like, again, when I was talking at the beginning of this conversation, there's a concept and then there's context. Understanding the depth of somebody, who they are. Like Martin Luther King said, I don't want judge me for the content of my character, not the color of my skin. And like people don't want to have the patience to get to know people. He's like Martin Luther was talking along lines of racial divides, but we can draw divides on anything.
It's not even just about race. It could be about classism. A lot of times it's about class.
Of course,
to be honest, more than even race now, because
of course
I've seen white people deal with other white people rough just based on classism. I've seen black people treat other black people like dirt just based on class. So a lot of it has to do with that class perception. I got the locks going on. I got the fronts. I got the beard. Who knows what people are going to think? But for me personally, I have no problem with that, because as soon as I open my mouth and I address them, and we could have a 10-second conversation, and all of that is out the window. Just on how I address them, just on my energy. And it's not even in your energy. I was literally about to say, because it's like Deontay Wilder, like a boxer, he said, like, you know, what's understood doesn't need to be said. And that's energy. Thank you. What's understood
does not need to be said.
I demand my respect in every situation.
That's it.
And it could just be on me shaking your hands. What's up? How you doing?
Exactly.
Just based on that. He doesn't know me. We're from another walk of life. Just on how I addressed him, how I shook his hand, my body language, the eye contact. He knows already, okay, this is a stand-up dude. This is, you know, a man amongst men. You know what I mean? As we would say. You know what I mean? So your energy is always going to carry you. Your aura is always going to carry you. So me, I've never had a problem with that. I just, like I was explaining earlier, and I always draw back to, it's always just me trying to be my authentic self.
Right.
And all of us really fighting that battle in finding our authentic self and then letting it out.
And I think one of the keys to finding that authentic self is asking yourself some tough questions, like that inventory I was talking about. Like, what are the intentions and motivations behind what you do? In other words, one of my favorite questions to ask is, what's your why?
Yeah.
My why is like, for the gym, for example. What's your why for the gym?
Yeah.
I'm not sitting there being like, I gotta get D's so these chicks look at me, whatever.
Yeah.
That is a tertiary response.
Yeah.
That is outside of the bounds of the reasons as to why. I'm thinking about being 80 years old, being able-bodied, running around, sprinting around with my grandkids, not having to worry about my knee buckling or going out or me tearing it up. Like, yes, there's things that might happen, but what I can control, I'm investing in a better quality of the quantity of years I anticipate living.
Yes.
It's quality quantity years.
Yeah.
Not just, I want to live a long time, but then when you're 60, you can't walk.
Yeah.
Like, it's not about that.
It's not vanity for you.
Exactly.
It's not getting big. It's not an ego boost.
Or is there vein involved? Something? Do I check myself in the mirror like, okay, word, you're doing some good work here? Or you look at yourself in the mirror, have a bit of body dysmorphia to a degree, like, I got to work on that a little bit more. Like, of course, but that's human nature to self-question, and it's normal, and you can't act like you don't want that to ever exist. But it's when that becomes your motivator, your driver, your why. That's when it becomes, because you put that into the driver's seat. This is one thing I wanted to really point out here too, is like, your emotions are like our passengers on the bus, but you must have your hands firmly affixed on the steering wheel. You're the driver. You drive the bus, but they're passengers on the bus. Do not act like they don't exist. They're there. But they should never take hold and commandeer the vehicle, and now your anger emotion is driving the bus.
Guess what? That's how most people go through life.
Exactly. Without that concept of understanding that analogy, then you realize, you know what, damn.
Succumb to survival emotions, right? Anger, judgment. You know, sadness, like that. These are the survival feelings that most people, they just drive on for most of their day. On their way to work, they're angry, they're pissed off at the traffic. They get to work, their boss is cussing them out. They're pissed off at their boss. They're pissed off at their workload. You know, the girlfriend texts them this afternoon, pick up some groceries, pissed off at their girlfriend. And they're literally in this aroused state of survival emotions, anger, sadness, depression, judgment,
fear, all that
stuff. You know what I mean? Lashing out, those type of things, negative self-talk. And they're just living in that state constantly. And if we're, again, going back to vibrations, frequencies, whatever vibration or frequency you put out, this is what you're going to attract.
Boomerang, man.
We are a magnet.
100%.
And that goes back to the pineal gland. So when you activate your pineal gland, that becomes even more sensitive. And you're going to attract even more of what you want, even on a subconscious level. Because subconsciously, our subconscious is a lot stronger than our conscious. Our subconscious tells us things to do that we're just doing automatically, that the body's not even... You wake up, you roll out of bed, you're brushing your teeth, you're making your breakfast and the coffee at the same time. Before you know it, you're out the door, you're not even thinking. You're doing all that while having a conversation at the same time. That's your subconscious working. Once you're able to direct your subconscious, however, to the goals that you want, and you're able to match the frequency of whatever you want, you can't be saying, I want to live on a beach and drive a Benz and live a great life, while at the same time, like I said, your whole day you're in that aroused state of negative emotions, of survival emotions, of fear, of anger, of jealousy, of judgment, of lashing out, of sadness, of depression, of regret, of self-judgment. You can't be in that aroused state and then at the same time you're going home saying, yeah, I'm going to get that one day. Those are my goals. And that's the disconnect that most people have. You could write down all these goals. You could do your vision boards. You could do all of that great stuff. And that's amazing. And yes, those are pieces to the puzzle. But at your core, what's really most important is that frequency of whatever you want. You have to match that frequency on a consistent basis in order to attract it. And the quicker you're able to do that, and the more consistent you're able to keep your vibration or your frequency on that level of whatever goal that you had, you could transcend through space and time. You could get your goal in 1 week if you really wanted to. If you're really able to get connected and you're able to match that frequency and you believe that you are that frequency. That is me. Yeah, I'm in that Benz. I'm in my
Right.
dream house. I'm in the marriage. I'm in a loving relationship.
Right.
And you have to believe that, and you have to say that, and you have to become it. And once you're able to do that and you believe wholeheartedly, that is what you're going to attract. Because at its core, life is a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right.
Whatever you really
Of
think
course.
about yourself, whatever you believe your future is going to be, not some bullshit you tell people verbally that, yeah, I believe I'm going to be great and successful, and da-da,
Right.
but you don't truly believe that in your core, and you're scared, and you don't think you're going to make it, and da-da-da-da. Sorry to say, you're usually going to
Right.
succumb to what you think and what you expect to happen in life.
The Bible says what you sow is what you reap, right?
Yeah.
And I always say, like, thought without action is indifference.
Yes.
So if you have thoughts,
Yeah.
but don't take the actions,
Yeah.
then you didn't have the courage of your convictions to follow
Yeah.
through. So it's just you're indifferent.
Yeah.
You have a preference of how you'd like things to go. You have
Yeah.
an idea, you have a concept,
Yeah.
but you're not providing context to your life to create, manifest, and make those things realities in your life.
Yeah.
And living in that mindset of success, living in not just experiencing it once and then, oh, I hope that happens again. Like, understanding the power you have to control your environment. And, like, you know, you talked about those survival instincts, and I think people really kind of break it down to fight or flight, but there's 4 of them. There's fight, flight, freezing, and fawning. So most people know what fight, flight, we know what those are, cliches. And then freezing, it's self-evident. But what's fawning? Fawning is when it's almost like that like Stockholm syndrome type of reaction, where you start empathizing with other people. Say your boss is coming down hard on you, and you don't stand up for yourself. You're basically being spineless, to all due respect. Like, you're not having the courage of your convictions to speak your mind and have it be heard. You start saying, screw how I feel, I'm going to do whatever they say for the sake of peace.
Yeah.
See, when we're confronted with adversity, you're going to fight. That's the opposite of fawning. You're going to start sticking your stake in the ground. Even in the face of logic, you're going to be angry. You're going to be, nah, I'm the soldier mindset. I'm not here to collect data. I'm here to fight a war. Then there's flight. I'm going to run. This is difficult. I'm out of here.
Yes.
Then there's freezing. You're like, I don't know what to do. I can't do anything. You know what's easier for me? Just not to do anything.
Yeah.
I don't want to change anything. I'm comfortable. I'm not going to change anything.
Yeah.
Then there's fawning. We're like, okay, I'm so sorry. Did I do something wrong? You know what? Maybe I should just stayed in my lane. Like, there's so many different ways that we react to these things. And it's like, those are survival instincts. People know fight or flight, but they don't think about freezing and they don't think about fawning.
And in all of those examples, nothing is being addressed.
Literally. And no
like
progress.
The problem is not the root of the problem. Like,
there it is.
You're gonna fight the problem. Okay,
there it is.
It's not going away.
You're not uprooting anything.
You just fought it, and it's still there.
We've all mowed the grass where the weed is coming out from the ground, and you just run the mower over it, and it cuts the weed, but it's still gonna grow.
You're gonna run from it. You're gonna get in flight. Okay, it's still gonna be there. You're gonna freeze. Not. You're still there.
Still there.
And then you're gonna find, okay, and you're gonna be accommodating to the problem.
Exactly.
It's still gonna be
you're
there.
Making it convenient
it
for the problem to persist.
hasn't been addressed.
Right.
That's with most people. It's not being addressed at its root. And just because you address something, it doesn't have to be confrontational. And that's the problem with most people. They don't like to address things or hard situations or hard conversations because they feel it has to be confrontational.
Right.
But everything is on perspective. If you look at things, as far as addressing, if you look at it as more therapeutic, and this is part of my growth, you have a totally different perspective coming into a discussion or attacking a problem. You're eager to have that discussion. You're eager to attack that problem because you understand that this is part of my growth. I want to ask these tough questions.
You start relishing in having those conversations with yourself and other people that are holding you accountable. Because like I said, that soldier mindset, and there's a scout mindset. The scout mindset collects data. The scout goes out and says, okay, that's new. Okay, now you're creating a bigger picture. A soldier's like, this is all I know. I have one mission. It's do this, and I'm gonna put the blinders on and ignore everything else. Someone says something that's trying to pierce my echo chamber. Fuck you. You don't get me. You don't understand me. You're not useful. Like, all this stuff. And like, that is where it's like, I relish conversations where somebody holds themselves or me accountable to them or to themselves. Like, it's very important.
It's a standard.
It's necessary.
A standard.
That's a baseline for me. It's a baseline of connection. Like, if something happens, I feel like there needs to be an opportunity for ego and pride to be checked at the door. And disassociate ego and pride from someone being like, look, for us to cohabit in this relationship, no matter its depth. If could be a romantic lover, it could be a friend, it could be family, it could be a colleague at work. For this to work effectively, here are my delineated boundaries. Now, you didn't know you were crossing them, so I'm not going to hold it account. If you didn't know the rules of the game, I'm not going to take you to jail.
Yeah.
But I'm going to let you know now this is kind of how I operate.
Yeah.
And, like, that's respect.
Yeah.
Because that person's taking the time to not just get upset with you, they're taking the time to patiently tell you how to love them more effectively and more efficiently.
Yeah.
And, like, that is so beautiful.
I pursue
that.
That's part of, look at the connection now we're going to make from when we started now. That's part of what I talk about in the beginning, being vulnerable.
Yeah. 100%.
Right?
100%.
And think about it. A relationship is not going to flourish or reach its pinnacle unless people are able to do what you just said.
Right.
Let somebody know, yo, this is what I'm about. This is what I stand by. These are my principles. These are my core values.
Right.
I'm just letting you know, this is how I roll, or this is how I like to be loved.
Right.
This is how I like to be addressed. This is how I like to be talked to.
Correct.
But guess what? Saying that to someone as well, you're letting your guard down. You're making yourself vulnerable. Because someone could be like, okay, I'm not with that shit. You're putting down all these rules and coming at me like that. Like, forget that. And then it's like, so that in and of itself takes being vulnerable. But like I drew to earlier, the relationship's not going to reach its climax or reach its full potential unless you're able to do that. Unless you're able to have those hard conversations, unless you're willing to put yourself out there and be free to judgment and be free to criticism.
Right.
Because in relationships, a lot of people, they're not comfortable enough to really even be their true selves with each other. They're not willing to be vulnerable.
Right.
Everyone's too wrapped up in being too cool for school and perception and being... You're never going to experience a true, full, fulfilled relationship if that's how you're dealing with each other.
There's two types of vulnerability. There's vulnerability you're aware of but don't want to articulate. And there's vulnerability you haven't even become a privy to about yourself. You don't even know why you're the way you are.
Yeah.
And that's unaddressed versus addressed but can't be articulated.
Yeah.
So that's emotionally aware, emotionally articulated, and emotionally accessible.
Yeah.
People forget that last one.
Accessible.
You got to be accessible.
Yeah.
Because you need to be able to access. That's got to be a tool belt.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be the detriment. That should be something that you're with. Because the thing is, vulnerability is a path to your heart.
Yes.
Now, the person you offer that vulnerability to will either use that path to come and raid and pillage your village, or they're going to come be like, yo, I know how to love you better now.
Facts. And that goes to being vulnerable, because look how someone could rape and pillage your heart. You're like, holy shit, do I really want to do this? Do I want to go there with this person? Like, you could end up real fucked up if you give your heart to somebody else.
And that's where I say, don't just love intensely. Love intelligently.
Yes. Facts.
You need to pick and choose those battles. So if that is a potential war, who is this? Is this an ally?
Yeah.
Or is this somebody looking to just take advantage of the fact that I'm opening up?
Facts.
Because there's people that once you let them in, they kick their feet up on the couch and be like, yo, do this, do that.
That's it.
And they're not here to collaborate as a team member. They're to be instructive as if they own you.
Yeah.
And they're here to take possession of your land.
Yeah.
And like that is holy sacred land. Yeah. You can't just let random people in there. So let me ask you something.
With that being said, the point that you just made, think about it now from the perspective of the average person or some of our listeners, people watching.
Yeah.
How scary is it to be vulnerable?
Yeah.
If look what you just said.
Right.
Look what could end up happening. You're like, holy shit, someone could come into my life, kick their feet up in my heart, take advantage, tell me to do whatever. I'm in love, my head is in the clouds, I'm acting other than my true self. Like, it's hard to be vulnerable.
It is.
But then again, it's courageous. Then you're never going to reach your full pinnacle or your full self without going that full 100. You'll never really experience life at its fullest unless you go your hardest. With no regrets, no hesitation, no thinking. You just go full steam. I'm going to love this girl, or I'm going to love this guy. I'm going to put my full into this. I'm going to go my hardest at my acting career. I don't care what my family says. People say I'm unrealistic. I'm going to change careers and chase my dreams. Like, you got to go full 100, or you're always going to live with that regret of, am I the best version of myself? Could I have been more? Should I have gone, you know what I mean? Gone for that girl that I dated in college that I really loved, but I was so petrified to, really open up to her. Should I have gone for that career? You don't want to live with that. You'll never have full experiences of life unless you're able to let go and be vulnerable.
Yep.
And balls to the wall and go 110% with no regrets at whatever my target or whatever my goal is or whatever my dream life is. And guess what? There's no such thing as failure unless you stop. We determine failure.
Yep.
Failure is not static.
It's
where,
subjective.
okay, I went for this goal and I came up short. Fuck, I failed.
Right.
No, it's a lesson.
Right. Exactly.
It's a lesson within that to help you continue to push further. There's
Right.
always a way to push further, and there's miracle stories out there. I don't have to go into
Of course.
miracles like.
Yeah.
So it's just you being willing to learn and still being willing to get over your fucking ego.
Right, of
Get
course.
over your fear
pride.
of losing. Get
Yeah.
over your pride. Get over perception of, oh, what if I lose? What if
Right.
what if I play my hardest for that ball game and I end up losing?
Say,
what if
what
I
if
go
I
for that
don't
dunk
try?
down the lane? I'm in the lane.
Exactly.
I want to go for that dunk, but this guy's a shot blocker, so I'm kind of scared. I don't really go for the.
Yep.
Nah,
Nah.
dog, you go for that every single time because guess what? Jordan would have done it.
Of course.
Kobe
You miss
would have done it.
100% of the shots you don't
You
take.
don't take.
Yep.
So to really experience your true self and experience life at its fullest, at every aspect, you gotta try your best to be your best and go for the best and expect the best and think nothing else.
I think one of the biggest things about the fear of vulnerability, what cripples people, is it harkens back to what I was saying earlier about that innermost room only you have access to.
Yeah.
A lot of people do not have that room built for themselves.
Yeah.
Where it's like, this is the nexus.
Yeah.
No one's back here. So authorized personnel only.
Yeah.
You're the only person with the key to get in. You hand that key to somebody else, good
Yeah.
luck. But you need, if I have a room inside of my heart where it's like, I'm in there, that's where my confidence is.
Yeah.
It's unshakable.
Yes.
And that's where if you have an
But
unshakable...
you know yourself to your core.
Exactly.
You have a lot more depth
and
than
I
the
can be
average
more
person
vulnerable
has,
than the average person
because you
of
have a
it.
lot more depth.
Right.
You know, so we have these discussions and, you know, we're trying to help people, elevate people too, but at the same time, it's also balancing that the masses and most people do not have the depth and
Right.
they're not where you're at or I'm at in their journey.
Right.
And that's fine. And that's why we have these talks. That's why we're having this discussion, is hopefully to elevate somebody out there or get a point, even if it's one point that they get that causes
Yeah.
them to do some research or look
Exactly.
something up, and that enlightens them and opens a door to something else. And then they teach somebody else about a concept that they've heard on through our talk here, and they teach somebody else about it, and they teach someone else. That's how people learn. That's how we spread. That's how knowledge is spread. Right. That's how I've learned a lot of stuff throughout life and in general. I'm listening to something. I could be listening to a podcast, watching a movie, a show. I hear a reference about whether it's history or spirituality, philosophy, whatever the case is, and I'll just look it up. They said a name and they referred to something.
Right.
Oh, I've never heard of this dude. Let me look it up. I could go down a whole rabbit hole for hours, and I just learned something new based on just one sentence that I heard in a podcast. Right. So that's the beauty of these things, and that's the beauty of life. Yeah, that's the beauty of life. That's why it's so important, like I said, for people to put their offering out and to be fearless. Yeah. And just go for it and go do it. You know what I mean? Because even here, I hope people, like I said, could take something out of it and see this as something positive, that, damn, these brothers are really dropping something heavy here. I got something out of it, a different perspective, a different way to look at things that helps you to elevate. Right. Because when you elevate others, you're elevating yourself. Of course. You know how you increase your value most as a person? By increasing others' value. Isn't that crazy about life?
100%.
It's like a circle.
100%.
The better you're able to make people, the better we're able to make people, the better you're going to be.
Yep. I don't disagree
That's
with
deep,
all,
right?
all. It's true though. Like I said it even when I said like the pillars of my of what I want to do is like when I see a smile on somebody else's face, that warms my heart. Yes. I don't want to make a bunch of like there's no such thing as bad money. It's like, yeah, there is. Yes. Like if I'm making money off the backs of bleeding hands and Indonesian kids, like what you can't. Yeah. And the thing is, what you have to do is you either stop and change course, or you numb yourself and calcify that part of yourself away from feeling that depth deeply. Yeah. You start ignoring the fact that you feel that way, and now that you've created your own new normal. Mm-hmm. And your new normal is devoid of feeling, of depth, of your humanity. Yeah. You've robbed yourself. Mm-hmm. You've done Plato's allegory of the cave by locking yourself in that prison. Mm-hmm. It's self-imprisonment. Yeah. That's the biggest problem. And you'll never experience
true fulfillment or happiness.
Oh,
like that.
No.
Never.
Not at all.
You know
a lot
what
of
I
these people in Hollywood or wherever, they make a lot of money. Go ask them, are you happy?
Yeah, no.
Are you genuinely happy? Yeah. Not say, oh, do you look happy to the public in the public eye? Mm-hmm. Are you happy when you're by yourself, lying down in your bed or looking in the mirror or after you shower or something? When you look at yourself, do you feel sorry for yourself? Do you feel sorry for what you've built? Do you have regrets? Because I'm never going to speak for other people. I will never. I'd say a large proportion of people that you guys might not even think about have that deep feeling.
Yeah.
Because there's no sense of deep fulfillment.
Yeah. There's not that depth there. There's not that introspection there. It's not there.
You're
and a lot
existing,
of these people,
not
like
living.
you said, a lot of these people work with negative forces, and a lot of them have done things to get to the heights that they've gotten to. And you look back now, and you gave a piece of yourself away. And I don't mean that like figuratively or metaphorically. I mean literally.
Literally.
You know what I mean?
What are we if we're not our spirit
and that's a
and our
whole
soul?
other conversation.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
people have given themselves up literally to attain certain things in life.
100%.
That's why it's also important in life. You can't watch people's stuff, and you can't be pocket watching and wish you had what this guy had, or wish you were here, or this or that. You'd be envious. You don't know what other people have done to get where they've gotten to, whether positive or negative.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It could be some fucked up shit or some demonic shit
Whether
that they
people
used
like
to get
it
where
or
they
not,
got
those
to.
people with the hoods doing rituals, doing blood if you don't want to think that's real because it makes you feel better, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm not saying to wake up in the morning and look it up and focus on. I'm not saying to meditate on these things, but being aware that these forces exist.
It's real.
It's integral so that when for example, I'm a religious man. I grew up Christian. I know what to pray against specifically. Yeah. I'm not just praying, I hope things work out, Lord. And I'm like, Lord, I want you to intervene yourself in the child sex trafficking being done by these people. Like, if I'm praying specifically, I can dispatch the angels of the Lord to specifically go and give. I'm giving because the
power.
Angels are our soldiers.
We
all
have
an angel with us.
Yeah.
An angel looking over us.
Yeah.
They're our soldiers. Some of them are just sitting back, man. I really wish this person would put me to work.
Yeah.
And other people are dispatching the angels of the Lord to go and do things on behalf of God, and that's what I'm saying out here, man. That's how I live my life.
Yeah.
I become aware, not because I'm like, oh man, this is a dark web rabbit hole. I'm good on that. I'm not looking into this stuff so I can like feed.
But you're aware of it. You
awareness.
You know that it's there. Yeah, you know that it's there. You know that it exists.
I refuse to live. Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
No, ignorance is ignorance.
Yeah.
Like it is. It is what it is.
See, the difference is even going back to my point. It's like some people do not have the capacity to even want to know.
No.
It's like explaining multiplication to a 4-year-old.
Right.
They don't have the capacity to get it.
They're not ready.
Some people could hear this whole conversation and get nothing out of it. And there's other people that'll hear it and it could literally change their life.
That's the whole point of this,
Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I try and I be patient with people, and I'm patient, but yes, to an extent. But you also have to have the understanding that even I have personal friends, people in your personal life, people that you try and bring knowledge to, you bring these concepts to, you try and elevate, but they don't have the capacity right now, or they're just not ready. Some people's souls are still immature, you know.
You can bring the horse to water, but you can't force it to
drink.
drink.
And some people, their soul is just immature.
It's not ready.
They're not ready. They're not ready to ascend, because believe it or not, what we're doing, even by having this conversation, and even by the fact that you're interested in the topics you're interested in, you're drawn to the things you're drawn to, and I'm drawn to the things I'm drawn to, we're ascending right now.
Of course, I can feel it. I feel in the
we're
conversation.
Ascending to a higher consciousness.
It's always above. It's always above here, you know?
And what they're trying to do, and what post people are doing, like, and you made this point earlier, you're either ascending or you're descending.
No,
you're not
no
just
stagnancy.
Stagnant. You're doing one or the other. You're every day, and it's a metaphor for every day. You're either getting better or getting worse. You're improving every day, or you're not improving every day. Pretty simple. And that's the same thing. And that's the same thing for life. You're either elevating, you're either ascending, or you're descending. And most people are descending through social media, through music, through lifestyle decisions. Brothers like me and you, or other people that you meet, I'm sure you go through the same thing in life. I attract people who think like this just in my life. Cab drivers or just Uber drivers. People at the convenience store, I'll say certain things. I'm at the convenience store. Hey, but buy a couple things. Oh, it's 11:11. Make a joke. 11:11. Make a wish. Yeah, I know. Right? And he just knows.
They get it.
They get it.
Right.
And there's more people that I'm coming up on that are in that realm, and they get it, and we have these conversations. It could be 5 seconds. You know, just a lady at the park, walking her dog. Oh, you have great energy. You know about energy? Yeah, I love your vibe. And I'm like, wow, she knows vibe and energy and just like that. And she walks past.
I was walking down the street the other day. I literally was just like I go for a walk every day, whatever, just to clear my mind, like, do my thing. And someone stopped me and was just like, yo, you've got a light inside of you. And I want to tell you it's shining.
Yeah,
like,
wow.
You have a good
Look
day.
at that.
You have a good day, and that was it.
Look at that.
That's it. They just saw that, like, they can see there's a light.
Yeah.
And they're aware.
Yeah.
You're aware.
Yeah.
That what's understood
doesn't
need to be said.
Yeah.
You know, like that's like the theme of this podcast.
That's the theme of this podcast.
You know what I'm saying?
That's the theme of us. Like I said, I'll go back to even us bucking up and meeting whatever at the gym. You know what I mean? It was just organic. It wasn't any preconceived. Yo, you got a podcast? Yo, this is what I want to say. We just meet. Yeah, what's up? First we just started. What's up? Hey, how's it going? How's your workout going? How's your day going?
Yeah.
And then from there, just elevated. Yo, my name is so and so. Here's a bit of my background. Da 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 da. We started talking about girls. We talked about relationship. Yeah. Then it just went into like life in general, workouts, and we literally started our podcast in the gym between our sets, so the people know. Yeah. You know what I mean? Every day in the gym, it was a different segment. Right. You know what I mean? Some segments ran longer than the other. Then it's like, oh shit. Yo, let me let you get to your workout, bro. I'm distracting you every single time until finally now we made it happen. Right. You know what I mean? On the strawberry moon. So I think that's pretty there it fitting. Is. I like that, man. New beginnings. Hopefully 100%. To like a classic little thing we got here, right?
No, this is fun. I'm enjoying the conversation. I know they are too because you can feel value. Yeah. You don't just have to, it's not just not everything in life that's super valuable is quantifiable. In fact, I'd push back and say the most valuable things in life aren't quantifiable because numbers are confining. Yes. That is you trying to define something that can't be defined. Yes. So I kind of divorce myself from the numerical thing, and I'm like, how do I feel? Yes. I'm elevating.
It's the feeling.
I feel like we all know this as energy guys. We understand. I'm sure some of you guys understand this too. Have you ever had those interactions with somebody where you're like, man, I'm fired up, I can run through a wall. Yeah. And you have a conversation with somebody else like, yo, I want to go to sleep. I'm physically drained.
Yes. Even
like emotionally,
it even goes as deep as, yo, some people call your phone, you see them.
You're like, nah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Literally. Yeah. Yo, and your energy plummets and your vibe plummets. No. Just by looking at your phone and you see a certain number. Right? Right? And some people, you see their number, you're like, oh, sweet. And you're like, oh, I'm so glad you called. Da, 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 da. And you're so eager to talk to them, tell about your day and hear about their day, whatever they got going on. Right. So it goes deep. Everybody is a vibration. Everyone is a vibe. Everyone is a frequency. It's important for us to stop even looking at people as the physical shell, what we have here, this persona. Right. It's the vibe. How do they make you feel? What do they bring out of you? You know what I mean? With me and you bring out this conversation. You bring out me talking about topics that usually I don't even talk to people about. I'm a guy that reads and gains knowledge. I love reading. I love documentaries. I love just learning and gaining knowledge. But a lot of this knowledge that I gain, I don't share as much really because I don't have a lot of people in my
certain cards
personal
closer
sphere.
To the vest,
you know what I mean?
Need to just
but
tell
then you
everyone.
Bring it out of me and you bring out a lot of things that even facts that I know, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that.
It's a spiritual tether where the energy is you're elevating together. Yes. It's like you're bringing each other up. Yes. Your energies tether and you work together. Yes. Whereas this other was combative. Yeah. Where you're like, yo, it's like Goku and Vegeta, and I'm like, I don't want to go to war right now. Like this person's coming at me.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Like, we're not elevating each other.
Beautiful metaphor.
We don't need to go attack each other. Yes. And that's draining. I've literally walked away and wanted to go to sleep after like talking to certain women or whatever, where it's like, oh, you're a psychic vampire. Yeah. You're feeding off of my essence, my force, my light. You see my light, but you wanna feed off of it. That's a source of nutrient.
And they wanna keep biting a chunk. Exactly. Snappy.
And then next thing you know, you're looking yourself in the mirror, you're like this. You're like drained. You're like, oh, I can see the life force was sucked. I need to go to sleep and wake up to rejuvenate my batteries.
Energy vampires.
It's psychic vampires, man. And that's the best way I can put it. And that's to the psychics and vampires. And people are like, what the fuck you talking? I'm talking about people that suck the soul out you. And I ain't talking about running brain.
And take pride out of it. You know? Take pride out of it. There's women out there, they love it. Like, bro. They love it. There's women and men. I'm not just gonna go. I don't want to make this a women bashing. Women and men that take pride take pride in sucking the energy out of people.
Predatory.
That ruining your life. Right. You know what I mean? That's predatory. Like a fun thing. People, hey, let me ruin your life. Looking for someone to ruin my life. It's like, come on. That's what you're putting out there. That's the intention you have. Even if it's playful, that's still a vibration and an energy that you're putting out. Yep. You know what I mean? And people take pride in that. Women take pride in being man eaters. Yep. You know what I mean?
There's a clip that's coming to mind that I saw. My buddy compiled some TikTok clips for me to react to before, and like, one of them was this chick literally doing what you're talking about. Yeah. She's like, yeah, it's fun for me. It's a game. Yeah. I just fuck with them. Yeah. I just see if I can get them to do what I want, and then I say fuck them. She's like, the guy's like, you don't care that that's what you do. She's like, I love it. I'm like, Okay, there's like there's a demonic force speaking from within.
But guess what? The pendulum swings both ways. So she'll act like that in public and all powerful.
And what are you
These
doing
are the
all
same
yourself?
People behind closed doors who are crying, who feel empty, who feel no fulfillment. They don't have any real relationship.
You want to talk about a void?
Nobody really likes them. Nobody really, you know what I mean?
They don't even like them.
They don't like them. No, it's real. It's deep. So there's a trade-off. Like
that's why the first thing I do is like, as an empathetic, as an empath myself, I feel bad. Like in terms of like, I couldn't imagine what you're going through, but I'm not your spiritual custodian.
Yeah.
I'm not here to clean up aisle 6 and you want, that guy's gonna clean it up, cool, I'll just take him on and start utilizing his, like, because the thing is, when I read this book, I Hate You Don't Leave Me, it's about people with borderline personality disorder, and I think everybody has elements of these things in their life. Some people just have it chronic where it's habitual. So how do we deal with people like that? A lot of people jump to the truth. You could say the most salient, articulate point, but because you didn't display support and empathy first, your truth falls on deaf ears. So if someone's coming to war, you need them to put their sword and their shield down before you can have an engaging discussion where we're on the same team. Display, I've come in peace. You know where a handshake comes from? The origin of a handshake? The origin of a handshake would be men going and shaking their hands, and the reason you do that is you'd shake, and any weapons would fall out of their sleeve. That's where it's a thing of safety. Safety. That's why a firm handshake shakes any of that stuff. There's a reason behind everything we do. And when it comes to a handshake, there's a reason we did that. It's for safety.
See, I didn't know that.
It's small things. And so when we're sitting there, we want to go and connect with somebody. It's like, I have a truth, and I want you to hear it. Cool. Are you displaying support? Are you displaying empathy? So it's like, I can't imagine how you're feeling right now. I'm here for you. Why don't you tell me how you're feeling right now, babe? She tells you how she's feeling or whatever, and you're like, okay, this is what I was thinking of how I define that. Now we understand where each other are at. Now we can get to the truth of the matter. And realize that gives you context. The other person's like, damn, I never thought that you felt that way. And the other person's like, damn, I never thought you felt that way. And now the truth can be dealt with from a calm disposition. When you're just like, no, you're always lying, you're always this, or you're always that. Now the word always is a very significant word in that. Because now you're saying this person perpetually and always will and cannot do anything but insert word here. So now what you're doing is spiritually, you're confining that person into a box of behavior toward you for moving forward. Oh, if I'm always that, watch this. How many times has somebody been, I'm going to be the monster you think I am? And you create this kind of scenario for yourself.
It goes back to what I say. Life is a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It is.
And that's the theme. I think that should be the theme of this whole podcast. 100%. And just when we talk, I'll always go back to that because I tell people that every day. When my friends come to me with problems, they think they're thinking negative self-talk, doubt, fear, those survival emotions that we talk about in survival instincts. It's like life is a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you want to live in that state, that aroused state, because most people, guess what? They sort of romanticize those feelings. They 100%. Look for a reason to get upset. You're dating someone and you look for fault. You look for somebody to cuss out. Oh, I just want to cuss someone out today because I'm angry. I just want to give it to someone. Feel something. You want to feel something. Because remember, it's an aroused state. There's different types of arousal.
And the most dangerous thing, I tell everyone, the most dangerous place to get to with me is apathy. If I genuinely, not that I don't care about you as a person or as a spirit, but like I genuinely don't care about building, fostering, or rectifying this connection. I'm good.
You've detached.
I'm completely
You've detached yourself.
Because apathy, you can come at me with that energy and it won't have any effect. I'm just
detached.
This person's like a light switch and it's off.
That's the worst thing and it goes back to both of us have played competitive sports. What's the worst thing your coach could do to
100%.
Apathy. Ignore you. Not shout at you, not get at you. When your coach is shouting at you, when he's screaming at you, that's when he's trying to get the best out of you. The minute a coach just gives up on you and just stops talking to you and you're even doing fuckery, you're not doing the drill properly, you're not following, and he's just like, sure.
It shows acceptance.
And he's not coaching you. And he's not coaching you. He's not addressing you. He's not keeping you accountable. He's giving up on you. That's the worst place where you want to be. So back to your point there, right?
100%. And like that's the thing. I think a lot of times, just like kind of tie a bow on all this conversation because we can keep going for hours. We got to save something for the people for the next time. And it's like I just look at these conversations and I'm like, it's enriching, it's fulfilling, it's beautiful, it's what life is. I feel like I'm living when I'm having this conversation. It's an offering.
That's
it's
what we're doing. Yeah.
Of our spirit, of our energy, of a collaboration to cause elevation for the community, for ourselves, vis-a-vis these conversations that are that tethered spiritual elevation together. We're better off.
Which makes it all the more powerful.
I could meditate by myself, and yes, I can get to that. But when you're feeding off,
what do you think prayer is about?
Of course,
when you go to church, when
prayer
you go to mosque, when you go anywhere, when religion comes together, when you
can move mountains. The Bible literally talks about that 100%.
Because at our essence, again, and I'll leave with this, at our essence, again, we are all one. We all came from one, and we are all one. And it's hard for people to wrap their head around, and you don't have to wrap your head around or understand it, but you just have to know that simple fact that we are all one, we all came from one, and we will all be one. You, me, everyone else. We've come here to live this human experience and have this human experience. Could I say why? I can't say that why, but we are all divine. We all came from one. We are all one. We are all divine. All of us. Every single one of us. It's just up to us now to elevate ourselves. Maybe that's the goal here. We're going through life, and our purpose of life is to elevate your consciousness till you're ready to ascend and go to the other side, because not everyone is going to go to the other side, unfortunately. And that's another discussion that we could go through, you know what I mean, as far as what's hell.
Of course.
We could be on hell here, and you're going to keep going through this life until you're able to mature. And like I said, there's immature souls here. The things we're talking about, they just don't resonate. People like me, you, and people sort of in this realm, we've always gravitated to this sort of knowledge and information. Why? I don't know. I've always just been interested, right? For some reason.
It's an anointing.
Nobody's ever introduced it or said, this is the right thing. I've just always been drawn to, like, first it started with The Secret, if I'm going to be completely honest. That first introduced me to, like, law of attraction. Wow, positive thoughts and positive things will happen. I never thought of that concept ever in my life. Nobody had ever told me that. But when I heard that, it resonated. It only made sense. I'm like, of course. So from then forward, I sort of became more conscious of my thoughts and what I'm attracting into my life. And I took more responsibility, and I took my power back. The problem is everyone gives their power away to circumstances. Oh, life happens to you. Not realizing that you create life, and you create every moment in your life. And once you realize that, and you take responsibility, and you take and you own that power, it liberates you. And it brings you a freedom, and you become more conscious. More conscious of your thoughts, more conscious of your actions, more conscious of the content you're taking in, more conscious of the company that you keep.
And that's how you get you firmly affix your hands on that steering wheel I was talking about before. Because all these other people, all these other emotions, everything, they're passengers on the bus. But you need to understand that what you have control over and what you don't have control over. Because there's certain things, people are control freaks, they think they can control everything. Some people don't have any control whatsoever, and they let anybody grab the wheel. It's understanding
the polarities. Remember, I go back to polarity, and everything in life is like that. It's both extremes. But you can't be either extreme. You got to be able to have that balance.
That's that stoicism concept of being in the middle. You don't want to sit there and just like, you can experience and accept that emotions are evoking within you. But what you exhibit outwardly that's what you choose. That's a choice. I can't choose what stimulates me in a certain way. But I can choose how much I expose myself to it. I can choose how I want that to manifest itself in my life, or whether I allow it to take that steering wheel or not.
And it's being conscious of that feeling or that emotion. And once you are reach a certain level of consciousness, you understand whether it's to your detriment or whether this is a positive for you. Is this an emotion, or is this a feeling I should hold on to? Or this is a feeling where this guy's pissing me off. He pissed me off. I'm pissed off right now. Everyone's going to get pissed off or have negative emotions, by the way. That's fine. But you're able to address it. You're able to step out of yourself. You're able to understand that feeling, pack it away, and throw it in the garbage.
You have to let go of what no longer serves you.
Experience it, and then let it go. The quicker you're able to have that turnaround of letting go of these survival emotions or letting go of negative emotions, those are the people that are able to elevate and succeed and, again, attract what you want. Because you're going to face circumstances in life that, it makes you upset, it makes you sad, you heard bad news, you feel depressed about it. But how quick are you able to understand yourself, okay, Michael, you're feeling upset right now, you heard some bad news, that's fine, that's natural, but let's not make your day. Let's not succumb to this. I'm going to give you about 5-10 minutes, man.
Exactly.
To
Process.
think about it, to process it, and then I got a meeting in about 20 minutes that we gotta move on. We gotta move forward. I understand you go through your emotions, and that's fine. But you're able to step outside of yourself and not be so deep within this persona, because this is all a persona that we have. Of course. At our core, we're all pure consciousness. We're all love, pure consciousness, divine, God, whatever you want to call it. We are all of that within ourselves, and we have to step outside and differentiate that from the persona that we are. Zutu, Michael, John, whoever you are, be able to step outside of that and understand that. And when you're able to understand that, that's how you ascend. When you're able to understand that, that's how you get deeper into your meditations. That's how you activate that pineal gland. That's how you do these things in order to have mystical experiences, have higher intuition, have more control, experience a higher level of happiness that you didn't know exists because you were in sort of this lower frequency or these lower survival emotions. Now you've let go of that, and now you're ascending, like I talked about, right?
Man, that's powerful, man. Thanks for coming out, man. I really appreciate it, brother. This is the conversations that are necessary to be had, and I'm glad that, again, I don't ever take it for granted when I meet someone of your caliber that is willing to take the time, come out here, have a conversation, not just for us to have a tethered elevation, but also other people to be able to hear this conversation. And like you said, if you take one straw from this haystack and it changes your life, then we've done more than our life's duty.
And we're getting plenty blessings for that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Just from doing that, just from the people watching, from putting out, even everything we're putting out or we're talking about, it's good intentions behind it. It's love. We're bringing our heart here. We're trying to elevate people. We're trying to help them gain some knowledge, gain some new perspective, be a better version of yourself. So just by us doing that, we're getting plenty blessings for that. And I, again, thank you for that opportunity, for giving me this platform in order to give my offering and really put myself out there like that.
Man, first won't be the last time, though, man.
Appreciate
that. And thank you all you guys for tuning in. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment down below. The conversation isn't just us two. Let us know what you think down in the comments. Have a great conversation. And
Zutu.
Thank you again for joining me. This is the Michael Mayers Podcast. We'll check you on the next one. Peace.